All right, thanks for that. Welcome back, folks. And we have a video for the weekend. And things have changed a lot since last time, so let's get right into it. This was back in my irrational exuberance period of buying Fiverr content, so I just thought I'd do a little flashback for you. You know, you start out a channel and it's all about fluff and no content. So there's some fluff for you. All right, so BYND. When we last left BYND, basically we were using every amount of capital, every drop of capital available was into a BYND short strangle position. If you don't know what a strangle is, it's when you sell a put option and a call option. You sell an out of the money put and out of the money call. It's a position where you want the stock to stay relatively where it is and not move too far to in one direction or another. We had that on in BYND. Earnings come out Monday, and in somewhat dramatic fashion, I took the position off yesterday for a couple $100 winner from the night before, and we are back into the VIX and UVXY. Surprise, surprise. And in a very rare moment, we are on the long side of UVXY. And I know that you don't see that from me very often, but I'm going to give you some of the reasons why we are long UVXY and how we are long UVXY right now. Okay, so if we take a look at the VIX, it has been going down, down, down. And can it go lower? Certainly can. We can get all the way down to 10 here. It wouldn't be too hard to get down to 10. It could go down another 2 points, 3 points. It could keep falling from here. It certainly could. However, if you look at the VIX in the last whichever chart you want to look at, it looks kind of low from where it's been. There's a good one. You could make the case here that it really is kind of on the low end right now, and it's been going down for a while. At some point, something's going to happen that makes this thing pop, and so we are long. My rule is with UVXY, I don't stay long it for more than 48 hours. We did have that move down on Friday. UVXY was down like almost $1. We did break through that 20 strike, and in the 19 range. I'm not going to go into the position yet, but one reason to get long is that the VIX has really moved lower. The second reason to get long is the weekend effect, and this is the effect where, as on Friday afternoon, the VIX tends to be unusually weak, and then on the Monday morning, it tends to be unusually strong. So to go long it over a weekend, you've got a little bit of extra help to the upside built in, because generally on Monday morning, just the way the model works, generally on Monday morning the VIX is a bit more solid than it quote unquote should be. So we're kind of playing that. I'm not leaving this position on for a long period of time, no matter what happens. Well, especially if it goes against. But for now, we are long UVXY. So not rooting for something terrible to happen, of course, but a little volatility wouldn't hurt us over the weekend here. So if we look at our position here, let's go through it. And this will help us have a little discussion about buying power once again. And it looks like maybe UVXY why is UVXY not on my watch list? I must have clicked something weird and it came off the watch list for a second, but there we are. UVXY, 1955 bid at 1961. And what we did on Friday was we bought puts and stock. And the reason why we bought puts and stock, and yes, I know it's an ETF, not a stock, is that allowed us more buying power to buy stock. When we buy puts with buying UVXY, the buying power. Remember when we looked at BYND, our buying power was very negative, and it was taking up all of our capital. Here, the trades that we were putting on when we bought what we did was we bought some NOV. If we go out to NOV and UVXY, 20 days out, we can see NOV 17 puts. So we bought some NOV 17 puts in UVXY, and we paid an average of 23 cents for these puts. And that, by buying puts and buying the underlying, synthetically, of course, we're buying the 17 calls, but buying those puts with the underlying allows us the freedom to buy more of the underlying, because we're, buying these puts kind of stops us out at 17, if you want to think of it that way. Stock's 1961. Once we get to 17, there's a put for every 100 shares of stock that we're long, and so that stops our losses out if this were to go to 17. Now, this getting to 17 in the next 20 days seems unlikely to me, but it certainly could happen. However, so what we did was we bought shares of UVXY. Now, last week I was tweeting out the first time I'd bought shares in a very long time of UVXY, but we bought shares plus bought these puts, and so with our $7,000 account, buying the puts in stock gave us an additional $10,000 worth of buying power. So we used that buying power to get us long. Right now, we are long about 700 deltas in UVXY. If we look at the down here at the price slices, we can see long 700 deltas of UVXY. Buying power effect plus $10,000. So we're definitely long. Our theta is $10 a day. Once again, I never leave a long on in UVXY for more than a day or two, because we just have so many things going against us. We've got contango, we've got decay. There's just a lot of stuff going against us here. We've had several down days. I think when I looked at this, somebody was tweeting out that we'd had, how many down days have we had in UVXY? And technically, it's not that many, because I think Thursday was actually technically an up day. See, Thursday, I think, it depends on which bar you look at, but it was sideways to up day. So maybe technically we haven't had that many. And also this, obviously Tuesday, look, is definitely an up day. But as far as things go, the overall trend has definitely been down for a while. If we back this out to 20 days, look, boom, down, 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 down. So I'm looking to buy the dip here in the VIX. If we look at the VIX, however, the term structure, there's definitely room to move lower here. When I'm looking at the VIX and these VIX futures here, I'm looking at the difference between the spot and the front month future. And if you just if you look at here, it's about 275, the difference, 1540 minus 1265. But more importantly, as we move forward in our expiration cycle, I'm looking at the distance between the second month future and the VIX, and there's a big difference between those two. There's $654.23. So that's a big difference between these two, the second month future and the VIX, and that is all room for this to move to the downside. So if you think that, wow, this is just, if you're just looking at the numbers of like, wow, UVXY hit the all-time low, you're not looking at the full story at all. The real thing here, and when I pull up VIX Central, I'm almost like talking myself out of being long this as I discuss this with you here. The real story here is not that we hit the all-time low. That is significant, and the price of the VIX at 12 and change is also significant, certainly, and that's a lower VIX than we've had most of the year. However, the big thing that speaks to the ability for this to move lower is this distance right here between the second month future and spot. That is a big number, and the way I just save that is not good, because hold on one second. So 1265 is the number. So this number down here is 1265. So I just cut it off, 12. And here's my terrible handwriting with the mouse, 65. So we've got this difference of 1265 between the second month future and spot. And that is a lot of room for this to fall, right? So futures guys are anticipating that VIX won't be this low a little while from now, but that is a lot of room right there. This thing can, if we stay for whatever reason around 12 here, this stuff is gonna fall, most certainly. Now, how many days do we have left to expiration? Where are we in the cycle? Well, let's just look that up really quick in the ProShares website. So we go to ProShares. So we are right now, we're about, let's see, 2/3 front month and 1/3 second month. So we are on the chart here, and always don't look at these names at the bottom, November, December. This is expirations, okay? So we are in the chart about 1/3 of the way through here. So we're about right here right now, like 1/3 through. So 1/3 of the way between 1540 and 1688. So let's call it like 1580 or something. So 1580. I'm just using kind of rounded out numbers here. Minus 1265 is still $3. So we're still like, I mean, even right now, we're like $3. The futures are like $3 away from spot. That's a huge number, especially for, for this point in the cycle. We're about 1/3 of the way through. That's still a big number. There is still a lot of room in this, just in the term structure here. There is a lot of room for this stuff to fall. So if you think that, so don't be deceived by just looking at this chart and saying, oh, we're at the all-time low. It's definitely going to pop off of here. It doesn't stay at the all-time low very long. Well, we've made several all-time lows recently, and this has more room to fall just in the term structure. And how is that possible that we're at the all-time low, but there's still all this room to fall in the term structure? Well, that is due to our old friend contango and rebalancing. Now we say, contango affects, it's a long-term thing, affects us over time. But, those effects have been building up for a while. So as we move out all the time, sitting at like 7% contango. What's contango right now? Well, it's showing 9% contango. Sitting at 9% contango over periods of time. You're moving you're moving away from spot with your average futures price. And as that over time, that builds up, it builds up this space between spot and the futures in the term structure here, and that's going to give you the ability for this UVXY to move lower. So that has been building up. It's building up over time, and if we don't get a pop in the VIX, this stuff is going to continue to just collapse. So there is definitely room to the downside in UVXY, and there's definitely edge to the downside. So I've got this contrarian position over the weekend. It's a short position, just looking for a little bounce here, but I'm begging you guys, don't be long volatility for any period of time, and don't think that because we're at the all-time lows that this stuff can't go lower, because it can definitely go lower. And I mean, stuff could go to 17. These UVXY also, remember and note in your mind, UVXY option premiums are low right now. This thing used to trade like with a volatility of like 130 and stuff. Now we've got down to like 87. These don't sell, these out of the money puts. If you look at like I'm here with the 15 no of expiration, like these 18 puts, the markets are very wide because the market's closed right now, but these 18 puts around 50 cents, we could easily blow through that 18 strike in the next 20 days, very easily. So these puts are not a sale at all. If anything, and like I'm usually hesitant to buy options in UVXY, but this stuff is cheap. So it's almost like I never want to be long volatility. I never want to be long UVXY. I never usually want to be long options in general. But this stuff has gotten so cheap that it almost compels me to buy some stuff. I mean, the puts are so cheap that it almost compels me to buy puts, because this stuff, it never gets this cheap. Now, we certainly could continue on this trajectory, like earnings come out good, and we're up. E-minis are up 15 every day, and this stuff could continue to get crushed. Don't think that there's a hard bottom here, and everybody's just going to be like, oh, wow, this is cheap, let's buy it. Markets can continue to be irrational longer than you can stay solvent, right? Remember that once again. So I have a long UVXY position on, over the weekend. In my mind, there's 2 days for something dramatic to happen, plus Monday for something dramatic to happen that gives us a little pop on this stuff. But if that doesn't happen, I'm out right away. I'm not messing around here because there's a lot of room in this term structure for stuff to go lower for us. All right, so, and the other thing that's of note right now is I'm actually on the same page with Mr. Kaufman from TheoTrade for a change. It's amazing, right? Note, Draghi's gone. Draghi's gone from European Central Bank. He's out as of the end of this month. There is a new person coming in. Christine. Her last name is escaping me for a second. Let's see if we have it. European Central Bank. Super Mario. Rescue plan. There she is. Christine Lagarde is going to be the new person. And so that's a big deal that happens at the end of the week. A lot of people have been talking about how there's not been a lot of volume in the market lately, and that's certainly true. I don't know how quickly that's going to change or not. It seems like for a while the market was responding to every of the president's tweets, and volatility was created by the president's tweets. Now the market seems to be that's like old news. The president tweeting crazy stuff is old news. And so the market is not responding to that. It seems to be focused on earnings to some extent, but there's just not a lot going on in the market at all. There's a slow rally going on, and that's kind of it right now. Big news last week, of course, was Tesla rally. We had a huge rally in Tesla. I saw people on the forum saying oh, Tesla rallied, I should short this now. And I kind of laughed because Tesla is a monster. So coming in with the mentality of it's up, so I'm going to short it is that's like playing checkers when the market is playing 3D chess here. Tesla is a monster. And I was looking at it on, I guess, the first day after earnings, or earnings, it was up $50. And I guess yesterday was the actual trading session after earnings. And Tesla ended up $28. This is a steamroller. Don't get run over by it. Be very careful with Tesla. It is a monster beast of a stock that will eat you up. People trying to talk about this scenario that oh, it's just a squeeze and it's coming right back down. That could be true, but in the meantime, you can get run over on this thing to the upside. Absolutely run over. $300 stock, 50 vol. This is a interesting trading. If you can get in tune with this somehow, interesting, potentially very profitable product to trade, Tesla. But for me, it's a scary proposition, this one. All right, so VVIX 83, very, very low. We haven't seen it this low in quite some time. Let me move out of the way here. Nothing going on. Nothing going on. So for me, getting long UVXY is a contrarian move because nothing's going on. How long can nothing go on for? It could go on for much longer. but also something could happen and we could get a little pop here. Obviously, the VIX futures guys are not willing to like chase this stuff down into the hole too much. So when I'm looking at the VIX now, I'm not looking at VIX. When I'm making decisions, I'm not looking at VIX 1265. What I'm looking at is VIX futures 1540, 1680. I'm looking at that and I'm saying, what is the likelihood of an event that pops the VIX back to 20? Because VIX 12, VIX 13, even VIX 14 is not going to change the situation here. Even a VIX 14 is not going to stop this grind down in UVXY and VXX. This stuff is, and if you're trying to pick a bottom here by buying some, you say like, oh, this stuff's cheap, I'm going to buy some VXX or UVXY calls. You know, like, I don't know, let's look at, maybe you're like, oh, this stuff's cheap, I'm going to buy some D's calls and UVXY. Let's buy some D's 20s or D's 23s. You can find this thing just rolling down another couple bucks and doing nothing for a month, and these calls just killing you. So if you're going to do something where your theta is positive. You're collecting theta every day, because this stuff can make more violent moves. Seems like some of these volatility products make more violent moves to the downside than to the upside, which shouldn't be happening, but it seems like that stuff does happen in these. So be very careful. I know it seems like the obvious play, since we've moved down so far, is to get long this stuff, but be very careful if you're going to do that, because it is dangerous. Going against the trend is dangerous, because this trend, like I said, it can continue. Could the VIX go to 11? Sure, it could. If VIX goes to 11, these futures are going to get destroyed. The contango of 9%, we haven't seen contango of 9%. We've seen it like right before expiration, but in the middle of the cycle, we're not even halfway through the cycle, and we've got contango of 9%. That's big. So if this stays like this, we could see this UVXY just get destroyed. We could see UVXY get down to 15 by the end of the year. I don't personally think that there's really any scenario that's going to get this to split by the end of the year. That mean like going below 10, but we could see this thing go to 15 by the end of the year if the situation continues like it is doing right now. All right, so there's your weekend update. We've got more earnings stuff coming out. Let's take a quick look at our barchart.com to see some unusual activity or high volatility stocks, and then we will call it a day, because we're already 23 minutes in and I tend to gab too long. I know people don't really have time to listen to me gab for too long. So highest implied volatility, we've got, let's see what we've got. 57-cent stock. That's probably not interesting to us. No, BYND, Beyond Meat. Surprise, surprise. AMRN. NAK. All right, let's go to unusual activity. Unusual options activity. VIAB calls, 320, 147 days till expiration. INTC. And nothing completely catches my eye. All right, so there you have it, your weekend update. Look, I hope you guys are doing well. My favorite things to watch on YouTube right now, in case you happen to be curious, I love this true crime loser. It's so funny. It almost makes me want to be a true crime YouTuber. This guy is hilarious. Check him out. And I put him right in the way. Let me move out of the way here. True crime loser. Check him out. Hilarious. Then we've got also on the agenda, we have, what else have I been watching? I've been watching Davey 504. This guy has gotten huge. Davey 504. He's an Italian YouTuber that talks about the bass. And I mean,
what's up, slappers?
He comes on and has like 20 million views on his videos in like 5 minutes. Team Trees, donate now. Davey504, he's got the bass. It's all about the bass. He's Italian. It's hilarious. Check him out. All right. Quick check to Drudge Report to see what's going on in world news. Blackouts loom for millions in California. Winds 85 miles per hour. And Ivanka and Jared celebrate 10th wedding anniversary. Crunch time for Mary Priest as Vatican assembles votes. All right, so nothing really happening to help us out on our long VIX position over the weekend as of yet. So stay tuned. I'll let you know what happens Monday. Like I said, this position is not staying for long, but we have a little window of opportunity for some volatility here to be successful. We'll see what happens. Follow on with me next time on the Short Vol Show. See you then.